Have you ever heard the phrase that hindsight is 20/20? Well, when we are growing and improving and accomplishing things, it's really easy to look back and say to ourselves, I wish I would have started here, or I wish I would have known X, Y, and Z when I first started. And this is a good thing. This is a sign that we have grown and we've learned and we've improved, right? And with enough consistency and effort and desire to learn and improve, most people end up achieving what they set out to or accomplishing their goals with those things intact. A lot of times when you see someone starting out on their journey, or if you see a small business starting, they're trying 100 different things at once to try to see what works and then narrow their focus from there. But it would be so much easier if we had someone like a coach, a mentor, or just a guidebook or something like that that's telling us step by step, these are the things that are most important to getting to your goal and helping you achieve that. And these are the only things you really need to focus in. All the extra stuff that you've been doing, throw it out, because these are the only real things we need to focus on. This is pretty much how I felt when I started working on my flexibility and working on my body. I didn't really have any desire to be super flexible. I didn't really want to do the splits. I really only wanted to feel better, move better, and be able to play sports freely. I was a college athlete and I wanted to be able to continue to play sports even after my injuries and into my late 20s, 30s, and maybe even go on from there. So now, after learning the things that I've learned and helping many other people create more flexible bodies and learning about their bodies through flexibility, stretching, and strength training, I wanted to share a couple of the things that I wish I knew when I first started. Here are 3 things that I wish I knew before I started trying to get more flexible. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Drake Law. I am the owner of Ground Zero Mobility Training, where we help people get stronger and more flexible to be able to do the things that you want to do for as long as you want to. Number 1, ramp up the intensity. Most people, I think, stretch to the most intense point where you feel it and it feels like your muscles actually ripping to the point you can only hold it for like 10 to 15 seconds. This is at least how I used to stretch when I was in track. I would only have a couple of seconds to really kind of stretch and warm up before getting into our runs. So we would take those 10, 15 seconds of each muscle group, try to really touch your toes as far as you can, hold it for like 10 seconds, 15 seconds max, right? And now I realize that that doesn't really make any sense. When we lift heavy or when we do any kind of high intensity exercise that requires high strength or explosiveness, things like that, we need to warm our muscles up, right? We need to gradually progress into those higher intensities. So why are we treating our muscles differently when we stretch? We want to stretch to the most intense point without really warming up or doing any kind of ramp up to that. That's kind of like walking into a weight room and just putting 400 pounds in the bar and trying to squat it with no warm up. That doesn't make any sense. The thing we have to realize here is that it takes time, consistency, effort, and patience to really see changes in our muscles and our body over a period of time. It doesn't happen overnight, it doesn't happen in a couple weeks. It takes consistency over several months to really see the kind of changes that we're looking for. So when we are stretching, we want to ramp up the intensity. So here are a couple things to keep in mind when we're doing that. First, try to warm up a little bit before getting into some serious stretching. If we're trying to improve our flexibility and we want to get to a high intensity of stretching, it's good to try to do some light cardio, some movement, increase our blood flow before we actually get into that stretching. Second thing is, when we are finding our stretch originally, make sure that we are finding a comfortable place to start to where we can hold it for a significant amount of time and just breathe into it. If we can't breathe through it, then it's too intense already. So find something that you can hold for somewhere between 30 seconds to a minute and hold that and get comfortable with breathing. Then what you want to do is gradually increase the intensity so that you can push the limits of the intensity a little bit and breathe and relax into it. We should be doing this over a period of about 1 to 3 minutes per stretch. And at the end of the time, at the end of that 1 to 3 minutes is when we should be at our most intense point, right? So we might spend 1.5 minutes getting a nice comfortable breathing into the stretch, and then the last 30 seconds we can start to really ramp up that intensity. Number 2 is that we want to be strong through our stretch. What does that mean exactly? Flexibility isn't actually very useful day to day if we can't actively use our flexibility. If we're not strong through our range of motion and we can't use that range of motion, then really we're just flopping around like a wet noodle and we have useless flexibility. In fact, some people would even say that being too flexible can be dangerous and put you at a higher risk of injury if you aren't strong through that range of motion. You don't have the stability to support your joints in those end ranges and very flexible ranges. So how do we get strong through our full range of motion? Do we have to lift weights? Lifting weights can be a great tool to help do that, especially if you are lifting through a stretched position and getting stronger in those end ranges. In fact, if you're a beginner trying to improve your flexibility, it might actually be the most quick and effective way to really improve your flexibility. Doing exercises like RDLs, Jefferson curls, or any kind of weighted squat can be a great way to actively improve your range of motion and your strength at the same time. Just make sure that if you are doing that and you are using weights to kind of help you get deeper into positions, that you are starting light and that you can control the weight and it's not forcing you into motion that you don't have access to yet. That's how injuries can occur. And if you do use too heavy of a weight when you're trying to improve your range of motion, your muscles will actually respond by tightening and trying to create more stability and not really allowing themselves to stretch fully. So there's a nice happy medium you have to find between being too light and too heavy to where you can really improve range of motion with the right amount of weight. If you are trying to chase more advanced goals in flexibility, like doing the splits or other things like that, then you might need a little bit more than just using weights through a full range of motion. Static stretching, passive stretching is gonna be your best friend when it comes to flexibility training at higher levels. And if we want to be strong through a full range of motion with static stretching, we have to implement something called PNF stretching, or proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. Basically what this is, it's an isometric contraction in these positions to where you're squeezing and using your muscles to actually help improve your ability in those end ranges, even though we're not actively moving in and out of range of motions. Some of this stuff can be kind of hard to describe without showing you and actively working with your specific situation. So if you do have questions or if you're struggling with this a little bit and you need some help or guidance, do check out some of our resources at our links below. We do have a couple of different things that will help you improve your hip mobility as well as just getting stronger and getting more flexible in general. One thing you can also do is you can send me an email or you can go onto my Instagram and message me there, and personally we can try to help you through specific things you might be going through, or if you just have a couple questions, you can leave them in the comments below. If you guys learned anything or had a good experience with this video, then make sure to subscribe, like, and we'll hopefully see you in the next video. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next time.